Hey guys, I'm bringing you a trail report of the Unicoi motorcycle trail, trail number 82, outside Coker Creek. Steven is ahead of me and Jeff is behind me. And we're going to see what happens. All three of us are riding KLR 650s. Steven's is a 06, mine's a 2000, and Jeff is riding a 2008 second gen. On the walk around, hopefully you guys could see what kind of tires we are running. He'll be along. Steven's going first. He's the most experienced, and he's been on this trail, I think, a time or two more than me. This is my second time on the trail here. And hopefully you guys will be able to get a good idea of where this trail's at and whether you want to ride it on your bike or not. Conditions are fairly wet. We've had a good bit of rain over the last 2 weeks, and I'm seeing how everything's going. Everything's going pretty well so far. Shinko 85s are grabbing just fine. Trying to give Steven plenty of good room. This is a single track. It's one of the few places that is in the Cherokee National Forest that is marked as a motorcycle trail specifically. Horses and hikers are allowed on here, so you need to watch out for that. But it's, in my opinion, some of the best riding in East Tennessee. It's not overly difficult, but it's not novice level either. The KLR is probably right about the middle of the spectrum of the bikes that'll have fun. I mean, obviously, if you've got a smaller bike, you can do it. See how well you like it. But there are guys that do this on BMW 1200s. I myself might be willing to try that with enough time learning one. I think a DRZ 400 might be perfect on here. But I've seen other people talking online about the KLR 650 and this trail and saying that it was unrideable and very hard to get turned around. And there are lots of places that it would be difficult to turn around, but I think unrideable on a KLR is a poor description, seeing as how we're all out here riding it. The worst part about this trail is the off-camber stuff that is coming up, and also the washouts. About had uh-oh there. Got a little too much front brake. We have parts. Parts is parts. It's not off the KLR.
Yeah, there's nothing made that is that perfect on the KLR. That's off a smaller bike.
Jeff, you look dirty.
I took a little spill.
Oh,
you okay?
I'm fine. But yeah, I took a spill.
Hey, that's right through there. Was it in that real bad soft spot with the
Just slippery rocks, you know.
Need a heat shield?
Oh, no, I'm good. I got a
TG or something.
What off yours?
No. It's off a bike.
You just found it.
Yeah. I was coming back to look for you and found it in the trail right there. You okay, seriously?
Yeah,
Alright. Whew.
yeah, I went all the way around.
It's a little slick through there. Now this trail is tight. If you have big painters, I would recommend that you take them off before you come down through here. Steven's running those Pelican 1570s, I think is what those are, and I'm running 40mm ammo cans. Jeff has his aluminum side cases off right now. And this is one of the tougher uphill sections right here. If you can make it through this kind of stuff, you can do the rest of this trail. Steven keeps throwing the roost pretty good. The trail here is pretty tame. You just have to watch out for the occasional soft spot when the tire washes out. It's no fun. The trail's just a few miles long actually, but it's real favorable riding. KLRs don't seem to mind mud too much. They always fare pretty well. A short section of mud in a trail like that's nothing to be afraid of, even on tires that are a little more 50-50. The Shinko I'm running in the back, it's got pretty good lateral traction, but it seems to kick out a little more than I would like it to, even a little more than the Mifo Explorer I had on the rear, which always did real well and would do this kind of stuff easily. You could probably still do this on a TKC 70 on a drier day. On a wet day you might not have much fun. But I've got a D606 in the front right now, and I'm loving it as far as the front washing out. But I'm hoping to put a D606 in the rear soon, and that'll give me the ability to bite in a little harder. All the tree crossings here are all there was definitely a skid plate impact right there. I'm happy to have a skid plate on here now. Jeff didn't get hung up too bad. He seemed to have mastered that section pretty well. This off-camber stuff can be a little tricky. If those of you who are a little newer to riding like myself, you got to be really conscious not to keep both feet down all the time in the tricky areas, especially the downhill stuff, because that lets you keep your right foot up on the peg and using the brake, so you tag with your left foot. So when you're on the right side of the hill like this, it's all hunky-dory. You just tag with your left foot. It's no big deal. But when you're on the left side of the hill, that's your brake foot. So you have to be really careful. This is a bit of a tricky obstacle. That's one of the trickier sections up here, and you can get a little hung up in that kind of stuff. Well, that's kind of the worst of what you got going on up here, other than the fact that it's all off camber, and if you fall to the right, you could be in a little bit of trouble. So you just kind of have to be cautious through some of the sections of this when there's a little greater consequence for wrecking. Right there, I got a little hung up. My skid plate hung there. Jeff's coming over this nicely. Excellent. That's about the worst element. There's a few more washouts up here that are a little rough. I'm kicking up my highway pegs in case I do drop it. I don't want to tear them up. But you know, that's really the one thing I'd say to watch out for. And maybe if you're not super comfortable with it, don't try to just ride over it. It's much safer to walk the bike over with a friend than it is to go off in a bad way. Have the bike come down on top of you. But that's really where, you know, it's safe a lot safer to ride with your buddy. You know, your riding partner's almost a piece of your safety equipment up here. Because to ride this by yourself, I mean, anything could happen. So you want to ride with a buddy. If you fall and get hurt, at least somebody's there to tell your wife what happened. No, really. I couldn't imagine getting my bike slid off down one of these off-camber hillsides and trying to rescue it without someone to help you. I mean, even just standing your bike up in the trail can be really difficult depending on how you go down. The back tire and the front tire tracked a little different there. Can be kind of a challenge to make it through stuff like that. But if your front tire stays where it's supposed to and the back tire comes out, you can kind of live with that. That's the lesson I learned with the tire setup that I was running before. I had the Mifo Explorers front and rear, and they're an awesome 50/50 tire. They really are. They do very, very well in the street, and they'll get you through this stuff if you want to do it sometimes. But what I started seeing is I really favored this kind of riding, and the Mifo Explorer in the front would want to wash out, and there's really not a lot you can do to a tire washing out other than stick your foot out and hope you're strong enough to hold it, and sometimes it's just not going to happen. You're going down. If the back tire comes out sideways, it's usually pretty manageable. A foot down and letting out of the throttle, or you can hold it out and you're okay. So when you're selecting tires, don't be afraid to mismatch them. If you like the looks of the Mifo Explorer, grab it. I put about 7,000 miles on mine and took it off 1,000 miles before it would have been unsafe to ride on the road. It was time to change it for riding stuff like this. But the front tire I swapped out well before it was actually completely worn out, just because I really wanted to improve my traction on the front tire. So the Dunlop D606 has done exactly that for me. It grips great. I don't even have to air down every time I want to touch a trail like I was doing. We had to cut some limbs through here, or drag some limbs out of the trail last week when we rode this, and we were all regretting a little bit today that we don't have our saws or hatchets or machetes or whatever your weapon of choice is. But it's a good idea to have that. You can clear small stuff out of the trail. If there's a branch that smacks you in the face and makes you real mad, then you can go ahead and get rid of it and avoid that headache for another year or two until it grows back. But now this is the off-camber that I was talking to you guys about, that your right foot is what you have to put down here, so you lose the ability to use your rear brake when you tag with your right foot. So it's really uncomfortable at the slower speeds that we're going to not use your feet to tag. And if you're like me and really in the habit of tagging with only your left foot because it gives you more control and difficult downhill stuff, then you have to tell yourself, hey, the right foot's the one that's got to go down. but you know, it's a little wider here. It's not so important, but when it's really narrow, it's probably a good idea to slow down if you're not comfortable with the speed. Here's kind of a tricky crisscross anyway. Right there, any wider a box would have been hung up pretty hard. Right through it. It's excellent. When you see this sign, the going is going to get a little tough for just a second. It's a little rough coming out of this section. Gives Stephen plenty of room. But after you get out of that, you come back out on the highway. After you cross the gravel, you're still on Trail 82. And it does get a little slick through here. And your sign, how you doing? Howdy. It is, thank you. And everybody's out having a good day. See, even that woman said that looks like fun. Well, as we're coming into this trail, guys, we're about to pop back out on 68. If you like watching this and you want to watch more, please remember to like KLR Viral, one word, on Facebook, and subscribe for more videos, more trail reports, moto vlogs, and product reviews.